Marcus Aurelius began each morning with a deliberate act that most people today would call morbid. Before the day had fully announced itself, before the petitions and the military dispatches and the weight of governing an empire of 50 million people had descended, he sat with a thought, not an affirmation, not a vision of the day going well, of the work going smoothly, of the relationships and the responsibilities yielding to his competence and his intention. He thought about everything that could go wrong. He imagined the difficult person he was going to encounter, the ingratitude, the stupidity, the selfishness of the people around him, not as a counsel of despair, not as the mental rehearsal of a man who expected the worst, but as the specific, disciplined preparation of someone who had decided that surprise, the shock of discovering that reality did not match expectation, was the primary source of suffering available to a human being. He wrote in his journal, the Meditations, written for himself, never intended for publication, "Begin the morning by saying to thyself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial." And then, in the same breath, without transition, he noted that none of these people could harm him, that their capacity to disturb his inner life existed only if he granted it, that the morning thought was not a preparation for suffering, but a vaccination against it. This practice, the deliberate contemplation of what could be lost, what could go wrong, what the day might bring that hope and optimism had not accounted for, has a name in Stoic philosophy: Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. And it is, I want to argue today, the most effective gratitude practice in the history of human philosophy, more effective than any affirmation, more durable than any positive thinking, more honest, more rigorous, and more genuinely productive of the quality of presence that the word gratitude actually names. The modern gratitude industry is built on an instruction so simple it fits on a refrigerator magnet. Think about what you have. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Focus on the positive. What you appreciate, appreciates. This is not entirely wrong. The research on gratitude practices is real. Directing attention toward what is present and working and valuable does, in controlled studies, produce measurable improvements in reported well-being. The instruction is not useless. But the Stoics looked at this instruction and identified a flaw in it that the modern gratitude industry has never adequately addressed.
The flaw is hedonic adaptation. The human mind adapts to whatever it is given. The new house becomes the ordinary house within months. The relationship that felt like a gift becomes the relationship that is taken for granted within years. The health, the financial security, the daily small pleasures that seemed, when first acquired or recognized, to be sources of genuine joy, become, through the simple operation of familiarity, the background of a life that needs something new to feel anything at all. The gratitude list, practiced daily, adapts with the same efficiency, becomes within weeks a routine. The 3 things are noted, checked, the box is ticked, and the quality of genuine appreciation, of actually feeling what is present rather than noting it administratively, diminishes in direct proportion to how predictable the practice has become. The Stoics understood this, not from neuroscience, they had no neuroscience, but from the careful observation of human beings under conditions of loss and recovery, from the specific, repeatable pattern of the person who does not appreciate what they have until it is gone, and then, in the aftermath of the loss, is astonished to discover how much was there that they had stopped seeing. Premeditatio Malorum is the technology they developed to solve this problem, without waiting for the loss to teach the lesson that the loss always teaches. Seneca, whose entire philosophical project might be described as making the Stoic tradition livable for people who are not emperors,
wrote about this practice with a specificity that makes it feel contemporary. He writes in one of his letters to Lucilius, Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum. Everything else is alien to us. Time alone is ours. And what does he recommend for cultivating the full, grateful, genuinely present relationship to time that this insight requires? He recommends contemplating its loss. He writes, let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. Balance life's books each day. The finishing touches on the life applied daily, not as a morbid fixation, but as the specific, practical act of treating each day as if it might be the last. Not to be dramatic, to stop deferring the quality of attention that the day and the people in it and the work in it actually deserve. The person who has spent 5 minutes this morning contemplating the loss of the thing they love does not walk through the morning taking the thing for granted. Cannot, because the taking for granted requires the assumption of permanence, and Premeditatio Malorum has removed the assumption. Epictetus, who was, remember, a slave, who had had the experience of actually losing everything in the most literal sense available to a human being, described the practice with a directness that his more comfortable fellow Stoics could not quite match.
He said, never say of anything, I have lost it. Say, I have given it back. Your child has died. It has been given back. Your wife has died. She has been given back. Your farm has been taken. That too has been given back. Not pretend it didn't happen, not perform philosophical equanimity about losses that are genuinely devastating, but hold the things of your life, the people, the work, the circumstances, with the specific, loving, completely non-possessive quality of someone who knows at the level of genuine philosophical conviction rather than empty reassurance that what has been given can be given back. This is the interior posture that Premeditatio Malorum is designed to produce, not detachment. Epictetus was not detached from the people he loved any more than Confucius was detached from Yan Hui, but the love that is fully present to what it loves precisely because it has looked this morning at the possibility of its absence and has chosen, in full awareness of that possibility, to love it anyway. There is a specific exercise that Seneca describes and that William Irvine, the contemporary philosopher who has done more than anyone to make Stoic practice accessible to the modern world, has developed into what he calls negative visualization that I want to walk through carefully. The exercise is simple. You choose something you value, a relationship, a capacity, a circumstance of your life, and you spend a few minutes, not hours, not in a spiral of anxious imagining, but a deliberate, bounded, completely intentional few minutes contemplating what your life would look like without it. Not what you would do to cope, not how you would recover, what the ordinary morning would feel like, the specific, textured, ordinary morning if the thing were gone. The relationship, the specific quality of the voice you will hear when you walk into the kitchen, the way the conversation goes at the end of the day, the particular, completely unremarkable thing that person does that has become so familiar you have stopped noticing it, and that you would give almost anything to experience again if it were no longer available. Hold that absence, briefly, without drama. Then return to the morning and notice in the quality of the noticing, in the specific attentiveness you bring to the next ordinary moment with that person, that something has changed. Not your circumstances, your relationship to them. That is Premeditatio Malorum. That is what the refrigerator magnet cannot produce. Marcus Aurelius applied the practice in a way that extended beyond the personal into the cosmological, and this extension, which might seem like philosophical excess, like the emperor taking the exercise further than most people need to take it, is actually the most practically useful version of it.
He writes, "Of human life the time is a point, and the substance is in flux, and the perception dull, and the composition of the whole body subject to putrefaction. The time is a point, the substance is in flux." He is not being depressing. He is doing the cosmological version of what Seneca does with the single life and what Epictetus does with the single relationship. He is placing the whole of human existence, its brevity, its impermanence, its fundamental fragility, in the field of view, so that what is happening right now, the specific, unrepeatable, completely available present moment, can be seen for what it is, not diminished, clarified. The person who has spent time with the cosmological scale, who has held, briefly but genuinely, the awareness that the civilization, the empire, the entire human project is a point in time, comes back to the ordinary morning with something that the person who has not done this cannot quite access. The awareness that the ordinary morning is extraordinary, not despite its ordinariness, because of it. Now, the bridge. Because the Stoic practice of Premeditatio Malorum can be misunderstood, and the misunderstanding produces the opposite of what the practice intends. The misunderstanding is to treat the practice as pessimism, as the cultivation of a dark, anxious, loss-anticipating relationship to life that drains the color from the present in the name of philosophical preparation. This is not the practice. This is the failure of the practice, the version that stays in the contemplation of loss without returning to the present with the quality of attention the contemplation was supposed to produce. The practice is bounded, brief, deliberate, a few minutes in the morning, not a chronic orientation of mind. The contemplation of loss as the technology for the production of presence, not as an end in itself, but as the means by which the ordinary morning becomes the morning you actually inhabit. The Stoics were not sad people. Marcus Aurelius led one of the most active, most consequential, most fully inhabited lives in the ancient world. Seneca's letters crackled with energy and wit and the specific pleasure of a mind that is fully alive to what it is thinking. Epictetus taught with a vigor and a humor that his students apparently found as bracing as it was demanding. They were not practicing pessimism. They were practicing the technology of gratitude that the modern world has not yet developed a substitute for. Here is what the Stoics ask of you, practically, today. First, do the morning meditation. Before the day begins, before the phone, 5 minutes. Choose one thing you value, a relationship, a capacity, a circumstance, and contemplate with genuine attention rather than performed anxiety what the morning would look like without it. The specific morning, the specific texture of its absence, the things you do so automatically in the presence of what you love that you have stopped experiencing them as gifts, experienced now, briefly, as losses. Then return to the actual morning, to the actual presence of the thing you just contemplated losing, and bring to it, to the conversation, the cup of coffee, the view from the window, the ordinary Tuesday that had previously asked nothing of your attention, the quality of presence that the 5 minutes produced. Here is second. Practice the evening return. Seneca recommended balancing life's books each day, an evening practice to complement the morning one. Before sleep, 5 minutes, ask, what happened today that I did not fully inhabit? Not to judge or condemn, to notice. The conversation that passed while you were somewhere else, the meal eaten while the mind was elsewhere, the person who was present and received less of you than they deserved. And then the Stoic inversion. Ask, if I had known this morning that this conversation, this meal, this person's presence was a temporary loan rather than a permanent possession, how would I have inhabited it differently? Hold the answer and bring it to tomorrow. Here is third. Apply the practice to one relationship this week. Choose the relationship you most take for granted, not because it is unimportant, because its importance has become so established, so built into the structure of your daily life, that you have stopped feeling it as a gift. Spend 5 minutes this week contemplating its absence, the specific absence, not the abstract loss, but what the ordinary Tuesday would be without this person in it. The things they do, the ways they show up, the particular, completely irreplaceable quality of their presence in your life, held briefly in the light of their absence. Then return to the relationship and bring to the next ordinary encounter with this person the quality of attention that the 5 minutes produced. Tell them if it feels right, not dramatically, simply. I was thinking this morning about what it would be like without you, and I wanted you to know that I know what I have. Fourth, do the cosmological version once. The Marcus Aurelius scale, not for morbidity, for perspective. Once this week, outside preferably, under the sky, hold the awareness that the civilization you inhabit is a point in time, that the empire, the culture, the historical moment that feels so permanent and so defining is one of thousands that have come and gone and left almost nothing in the long view. And then, from inside that perspective, look at the ordinary life you are living, the work that is yours to do, the relationships that constitute your world, the specific, unrepeatable, completely available Tuesday that has been given to you, and that will not be given twice. Notice what the cosmological scale does to the ordinary morning, not diminishes it, reveals it for what it actually is. I want to close with a passage from the Meditations that Marcus Aurelius wrote toward the end of his life. He has been emperor for nearly 20 years. He has governed through plagues and wars and the administrative demands of the largest empire in the Western world. He has lost children. He has managed, with varying degrees of success, the philosophical practice he has been describing in his journal for 2 decades. And he writes, "Do not indulge in such thoughts as, 'What if I live only a few more years?' or 'Why go on at all?' but let your whole life's principles form the answer." Let your whole life's principles form the answer. Not the philosophical argument, not the comforting calculation, the life, the actual, daily, fully inhabited practice of a person who has been doing the morning thought for 20 years, who has balanced the books each evening, who has contemplated the loss and returned to the present with the quality of attention that the contemplation was designed to produce. Let that answer the question. The person who has practiced Premeditatio Malorum, who has held the things they love in the light of their possible absence daily for years, does not need to be reminded to be grateful, does not need the refrigerator magnet, does not need to manufacture the feeling that the gratitude list is trying to produce, has it, structurally, built into the morning practice that changes the quality of every ordinary moment that follows it. The time is a point. The substance is in flux. And this morning, this specific, ordinary, completely unrepeatable morning is the point. And you are in it, fully, with the quality of attention that knowing it is temporary has made possible. Here is the question the Stoics leave us with today. Not from loss, from the morning before the loss, from the specific, deliberately cultivated awareness that the thing you love is a temporary loan. What is the thing in your life, the relationship, the capacity, the ordinary daily circumstance that you have been taking for granted so thoroughly that you have stopped feeling it as the gift it is? And what would it change in how you inhabit the next ordinary hour to hold its absence for 5 minutes and then return to its presence? Leave that in the comments, because that answer, your Premeditatio answer, specific and honest and pointing toward what you actually have, is not a small thing. It is the morning thought, before the day fills, and the ordinary Tuesday that is waiting to be fully inhabited. I'll see you in the next one.